Alright everyone, we've got to talk about Josh Hawley, first U.S. Senator to sign on objecting to certifying the election results. We're going to get into what this means and what it doesn't mean, because some people are like, Trump is going to pull it off. In the procedural sense, no. But it goes a lot deeper than that. It is meaningful. It's not like just having a bunch of people in the House objecting. It literally means nothing unless you have at least one senator, and I'd be surprised if it's just Hawley. I think now some other people might have the balls to join in. It's going to be a little bit of a free-for-all. Yeah, you're seeing the cat's tail at the moment. But anyway, first, I am abused at this point by YouTube because priority creators like MSM figures, Fox, and CNN are artificially jacked up in related search and trending and so forth, blocking people like me out. So if you want to send this video out on another platform like Twitter or Gab or something so that it's more searchable, I appreciate it. There are also links in a pinned comment to other sites that I use like like Odyssey, Rumble, Dailymotion, and BitChute, none of which algorithmically demote me. So I like them better at this point. First, let's get into what this means. Essentially what you're going to see, and this is now a foregone conclusion, you're going to see Hawley and the other members of Congress, all Republicans, House members, I think a dozen of them at this point, officially object to certifying. Each one of them objects to, if I remember correctly, a specific state. Not the election itself, but just to a state. You will then have 2 hours of open session debate in which the objectors raise their objections for up to 5 minutes apiece, in which there's rebuttal. What this does is, this is Biden's worst nightmare, essentially. An incoming presidential administration does not want an asterisk over their head on day one. They want a sweetheart period in which they have a perceived public mandate. Biden has to have his people cook the polls to make him look popular. The dude is extremely unpopular. He's disliked even by a near majority of Democrats. He has no mandate. If he goes into the White House, therefore, with the asterisk over his head of members of Congress refusing to even recognize his legitimacy, because these are public officials. It's not like some Joe Schmo on the internet. Biden doesn't care if you object to his presidency. He does care if members of Congress do. He's trying to be a unifying figure. That's his whole message. This is how he's trying to congeal the Democrats that have a deep, deep growing schism between the left and like the neoliberals like Biden. He's not going to be able to accomplish that if it's clear that you have this challenge to his capabilities. He's already got a million problems on day one. I mean, to the point where the entire lame establishment has to literally purge people in order to try to fake it as though he's popular. What this will do is allow Pence to troll him. It'll allow Hawley to troll him. It'll allow many representatives to troll him and to air their grievances. There, again, as I reported yesterday, there was like presumably a LARP post on 4chan about, well, I'm a Pence staffer and he's planning on wheeling in a fake Dominion voting machine and laughing at them and forcing them to use that to vote for the electors or something like that. Now, while that may be a pipe dream, it's one that would be absolutely goddamn epic, and I hope it happens. But just the fact that you're going to have multiple members of Congress, duly elected individuals, objecting, this is something that most presidents don't deal with. Most presidents, it's unanimous that the election is certified. Nobody objects. Or if there's an objection, they can't find usually a senator in order to join them. It's only happened a couple of times in U.S. history. This is not a common theme in U.S. politics. Normally, the side that has honk lost in the fair election just sort of steps back. And the president normally, in the first 100 days, it's called the sweetheart period, they have, if not a mandate, they get softballed by the other side because they don't want to harass the incoming president. The president basically goes on parade, shakes hands, does some meet and greets, and signs off some feel-good legislation and gives a bunch of pork throwbacks to everyone who donated to them, and everything goes back to normal after. Biden's not going to get a sweetheart period. By the way, neither did Trump. One of the biggest things that hampered Trump is the fact that he never got a sweetheart period. The media on day one started hammering him. Biden will be the golden boy of the media. They're not going to try to hold him to account. We already know that. They're too busy talking about his dogs and his socks. But the people will. Members of Congress will. And if the Georgia election, by the way, doesn't go well for the Democrats, he's a lame duck on day one. He won't do anything. The Biden presidency will be completely crippled. The only caveat being that the Republicans are very easy to gull into a corner when it comes to budget deals, and the Democrats pass legislation through that. They add a bunch of pork to it to fund their pet projects. But that happens, I mean, that's even happened with GOP control of the Senate plus a Republican president. So being entirely clear, the Republicans, you know, unless there's a supermajority of MAGA delegates there, are not really going to stand in the way. This puts a huge asterisk over Biden's head. What I would say is, though, if there's anything last minute that happens to overturn the honk duly elected Joe Biden, Beijing Biden, it won't come from Pence. It's not going to come from this. It'll be interesting. It'll be a spectacle. It will goddamn cripple potentially an incoming administration. But in and of itself, does it change anything politically? No. To be clear, this will not change the result. The fully fair result of the election, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We have to say that for YouTube TOS purposes because YouTube is apparently funded by the Chinese now. Now, Biden doesn't want to deal with that. And they'll try to downplay it. You watch what'll happen with the MSM, with the objectives. The MSM will cut away from it. They won't even fucking show you on their live stream. So you should watch C-SPAN or some independent commentator, because you're definitely not going to get it from CNN. Even Fox will probably cut away. Well, this is bullshit, and they shouldn't be doing this. It just makes them look like sore losers. It's scripted. You know what they're going to say already. But it is meaningful. The MSM will be in mass damage control. Biden right now is sweating fucking bullets. Because senators are more reluctant to join on to things like this. The fact that Hawley got aboard is bad for Biden. Very, very bad. Like A+ level bad, like, you know, presidency cripplingly bad. Now I realize that Biden's not, you know, even capable of being an acting president because he's just a puppet, but that being said, even if you're just a figurehead, you're still a figure. Being extremely tarnished. Before the presidency even is certified, you're already a lame duck. Basically, it's good, I think, for the United States. By the way, I mean these people in Congress, they're doing what they're paid to do, which is represent their constituents who have, you know, totally illegitimate Hong Kong concerns about the election. But that won't stop Beijing Biden. Just to be clear, this is not what can stop him. There is no procedural element by which Mike Pence can magically nullify the election result, but the votes of the electors and refuse to certify them and coronate someone. If anything, if there was a serious enough challenge, largely the House ends up with power. And not just the House of Representatives as a body, but also the houses of the various states. Now that would go Republican. But in order to force that, you need the House of Representatives to be under your control as well. Nancy Pelosi is going to brush this aside immediately after the objections are aired with a simple up and down vote, and it will proceed from there. This won't have any impact on the final outcome, except that an incoming Beijing Biden will be toothless. He won't be able to do things with, and you know Biden, he has a temper. He will probably lash out at this. And the Democrats aren't very good with mimetics, so when they lash out, they just look frenetic. They look stupid. It's going to be a very, very interesting time on January 6th indeed. I hope Mike Pence trolls everyone. I really do. But expect the MSM to cut away from all the juicy bits. Make sure that you stock up on good links that don't have like CNN and MSNBC coverage. Make sure that you stock up well beforehand, because those will go black as soon as Hawley takes the stage. That's about all. Peace out.